Released in 2008, the spin-off show Terminator: The Sarah Connor Chronicles is based on the Terminator series, which includes various cyborg models as both assassins and protectors. One of those Terminators is T-1001, also known as Catherine Weaver. She is one of the few independent androids who works against Skynet and tries to create a different solution instead of repeating the same future-past loop patterns of the films. Let's dive into this remarkable machine that can morph itself into various deadly weapons that you would not want to be subjected to. But before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. A view into the films preceding the TV show. In the Terminator film series, Skynet remains the main threat to humanity. Skynet is an artificial superintelligence first built for military purposes. It soon gained self-awareness, and when it realized that humans wanted it to be deactivated, it went against humanity with its self-defense mechanism. It waged a war against humans, and in 2011, on Judgment Day, it launched a nuclear attack in an attempt to wipe out humanity. This was followed up by a waging war between leftover humans and machines, where our protagonist, John Connor, led the human resistance group against Skynet. He's able to win over the machines, destroying the Skynet, but the smart AI still manages to send its Terminators into the past to kill John's mother, Sarah, in the first film, and to kill John as a young kid in the second film to prevent John from existing and winning the war against them in the future. John also sends his friend Kyle Reese to protect his mother, who becomes his father in a weird turn of events. In the second film, John reprogrammed the Terminator T-800 to send it back as the protector of his family. This goes on for several films, but the TV show follows the events after the second film, disregarding everything that happened in the movies that came afterwards.
Dr. Savannah. She's missing. She's in the building.
Who is Catherine Weaver, T-1001? The T-1001 appears in the second and final season of the series as a Terminatrix that can shapeshift into different people and objects. In 2027, post-Judgment Day, a resistance group led by Jesse Flores is sent to a submarine to retrieve a mysterious box for their leader, John Connor. These people have serious trust issues, as they're suspicious about the package and end up opening it to investigate. As a result, they release a liquid metal android, T-1001, that kills the girl who points a firearm at it. It then morphs itself to look like the girl it just killed and delivers a message for John Connor. The answer is no. It then shapeshifts into an eel and slithers out of the air vent. Jesse Flores later learns that T-1001 was asked, "Will you join us?" by John Connor. T-1001 jumps back in time to the pre-judgment period with the aim of creating an AI alternative to Skynet that will be able to sympathize, understand, and connect with humanity, and stand in the future war against Skynet. It replaces Catherine Weaver, who has recently passed away, and uses her position as a co-founder of Zira Corporation, a tech company, to fulfill her mission. How is she different from T-1000? Although T-1001's motives are against Skynet, she still lacks a moral compass and doesn't let anyone affect her mission, be it innocent or vile. Weaver's daughter Savannah's safety for the purpose and only cares about her real son, John Henry, well, by machines' standards. She is ready to kill or be killed for John Henry in the mission to make him have human values and emotions and lead him into the future to help John Connor. There have been various Terminators that can mimic human emotions, like Cameron, but T-1001 often fails to do so despite its remarkable mimicking abilities and often slips its facade in front of Savannah, who knows her mother has changed somehow. T-1001 can override its directives and is able to choose its own missions. It can morph through its liquid metal body into whoever or whatever it wants to be, and it can also detach the parts of its body to act independently on its command. It's intelligent enough to build its own time machine, and while disabling T-888, it shows immunity against the high electric power flow despite having a metallic body. T-1001 has various similarities with T-1000 based on strengths and properties. The T-1000 from Terminator 2 is a deadly assassin with modern technology and a liquid metal body, similar to the T-1001. Both show remarkable shape-shifting abilities and stubborn devotion to their mission. Similar to the T-1001, the T-1000 also shows the ability to quickly repair damage, morph morphing its hands into deadly weapons like pointed knives and swords. Both are remarkably flexible and can change even the states of their bodies according to the situation. Aside from the fact that both cyborgs were working on opposite missions, there are only a few differences between the two models, one of which is the temperature tolerance. While T-1001 remains unfazed when kept at a deep freeze stage in the submarine, T-1000 fails to survive extreme temperatures, which becomes its weakness. The T-1000 also shows the ability to shape its limbs into weapons, but it fails to extend its range as far as the T-1001 can. The T-1001's bladed arm blows are more impactful compared to the T-1000, as they sever through the Terminator T-888's body with ease. T-1000 also doesn't have the ability to separate its body parts to work as separate beings with their own shape and function. Instead, T-1000 always has to wait for its parts to assemble before starting its action and continuing the chase. When the T-1001 morphs into a sheet, it shows better durability than the T-1000, which is often severed with different blows from missiles and guns before recovery. Although the T-1000 didn't need to showcase this ability, the T-1001 can also be distinguished by its ability to swim with extraordinary speed at a depth of 23,000 feet where the submarine existed. Even though T-1001 is often not very skilled at expressing human emotions, it's still better than T-1000, which might not have needed to demonstrate human expressions. Hence, with all its improved abilities, the T-1001 seems to be a better version of the T-1000. It overcomes all the T-1000's shortcomings that would slow it in its mission and even lead to its destruction. A glimpse into the TV show and the T-1001's role. The TV show is based on the events that occur right after the film Terminator 2 Judgment Day ends, when their protector, Terminator T-800, sacrifices himself in an attempt to destroy all evidence of AI. Presently, in the show, the main characters, Sarah Connor and her son John Connor, are still being chased by the FBI, who believes Sarah to be criminally insane based on the previous film. It disregards the events of Terminator 3 and creates a different world where the characters take innovative ways that honestly seem more effective than the films for the destruction of Skynet. Sarah and John try to live a normal life as hiding fugitives, but a Terminator T-888 named Cromartie arrives at John's school. A beautiful girl in John's class turns out to be another Terminator sent to protect John in this never-ending saga. Later in the series, Cameron's uncle Derek also arrives from the future, and the family of 4 fights against the Terminators. Unfortunately, Derek is later killed by a Terminator. Although their actions are intertwined, T-1001 and the trio, Sarah Connor, John Connor, and Cameron, only meet towards the end of the season. Both work independently against Skynet, but the trio is more ethical, while T-1001 can kill anyone for the bigger picture. Before T-1001 arrived in the past, Catherine Weaver founded Zira Corporation with her husband, Lachlan. Lachlan unfortunately dies in a helicopter crash in 2005, and soon after, Catherine also passes away, leaving behind their young daughter, Savannah. Unbeknownst to anyone, T-1001 keeps living as Catherine Weaver and takes Lachlan's place as the CEO of Zira Corp. She raises Savannah, who has no idea that her mother is gone, but has noticed a change in Weaver's behavior and distances herself from her. Weaver now uses her position to acquire the only existing Turk, an advanced chess-playing computer that was stolen from its maker, Andy Good, after he was killed. She decides to use Turk as a starting point for developing an AI with her company resources. As CEO, she sets up a meeting with Zira Corporation department heads and announces a new project named Babylon that aims to change the world. She declares that she will pull important employees from different departments and put them in the Babylon division, which doesn't sit right with a few people. 2 of the department heads, Matt Murch and Justin Tuck, meet in the washroom and talk about the changes Weaver is bringing to the company, as they're not so happy with them. Justin leaves, and Matt continues to insult Weaver. To his utter shock, the urinal in front of him changes its shape, morphs into a liquid metal, and finally turns into Weaver. She seems annoyed at his disgusting remarks and extends her finger into a blade that pierces through his eyes. killing him. She convinces an FBI agent, James Ellison, about the involvement of AI in the crash that took Lachlan's life, as well as an attack on John Connor at his school. She claims that she was working with her husband before his death to create an AI similar to those involved in these incidents. She recruits him to help with her research and instructs him to find a robot for her. Ellison relays the information to Weaver that the Serrano Point nuclear power plant is about to be closed down soon, which, unbeknownst to him, will be an important base for the resistance group in the future. To make sure the plant remains open, Weaver shapeshifts into a beautiful girl and seduces Mr. Nelson, the executive manager of the plant. She lures him out into a dark area and morphs her tongue into a weapon, suffocating him. Weaver also faces problems raising Savannah, who seems distant and afraid of her own mother. Despite her mimicking abilities, Weaver fails to mimic human emotions and has a hard time pretending to have feelings, which affects her relationship with Savannah. While having a photo shoot with Savannah, the photographer notices their discomfort and suggests seeing a child psychologist who can help them. Weaver meets the psychologist, Dr. Boyd Sherman, whom Savannah confides in and tells him that she misses her old mother. Believing that Weaver has changed after her husband's death, he consults Weaver about this, and she tries to learn more about human behavior to mimic a better parenting style. Noticing Dr. Sherman's expertise, Weaver recruits him as a consultant for the Babylon AI project. As the AI is considered to have the mind of a child, she wants Sherman to train it to be more like humans. Meanwhile, the Connors come face to face with a T-888 Cromartie again, but this time they're able to deactivate it. Ellison soon finds the body and takes it to Weaver to help her with the research. Sherman, on the other hand, works with Weaver to analyze and improve Babylon's responses. He changed its name to John Henry, based on a folklore legend. Weaver connects T-888's body with John Henry and gives him a stationary presence, so our boy now has a name and a body. In an unfortunate turn of events, AI John Henry is trapped in the Zira Corporation's basement with Sherman. As AI has control of the electrical system, it redirects the building's electrical power to its mainframe, which accidentally kills Sherman. John Henry shows no remorse for accidentally killing Sherman. Seeing this, Ellison consults with Weaver about the need to teach AI ethics and morality so that it can differentiate between what's right and what's wrong. Weaver now convinces Ellison to take the place of Sherman in teaching John Henry the ways of human life, as Ellison is a religious man. Weaver's determination towards John Henry is apparent when she calls him "our boy," as if it were her real son. John Henry is also able to identify that Weaver is a robot, but she convinces him not to tell anyone, as she is doing everything for his existence. Soon, a company with ties to Skynet, Caliba, hacks into Zira Corporation's and John Henry's computers. After finding this out, Weaver wipes out the entire staff of Caliba's drone factory to hide John Henry's existence. In the factory, they're developing airborne hunter-killers, and Weaver explodes the entire factory, although a survivor manages to escape with a drone. Caliba even sends troops to attack Savannah, but the Connor family saves her, prompting Weaver to join hands with them. Weaver sends a message through Ellison, asking Connor the same question she was asked: "Will you join us?" Cameron, believing Weaver is with Skynet and has been sent back to build it, gets upset and denies the request. John and Sarah arrive at Zira Corporation with Ellison, as Sarah is pissed at Weaver, believing her to be an ally of Skynet. Weaver tells them about their mutual nemesis, Skynet. Just then, the remaining drones from Caliba initiate an attack, and Weaver morphs herself into a metallic sheet to save John and Sarah. This is a surprise to even Ellison, as he didn't know Weaver was a robot. This proves that Weaver is with the Connors, but Sarah still doesn't trust her. As they're moving towards the basement, Weaver reveals that she was sent back in time to create an alternative AI program that would work against Skynet in the future. She asserts to Sarah, "Your John might save the world, but he can't do it without mine." Spitting facts, are we? Hence, it is proven that John Henry, the AI program Weaver is building, is going to join forces with John Connor in the future to destroy Skynet. In the basement, they find a deactivated Cameron, and John Henry is nowhere to be found. Cameron has been sent to kill John Henry by the Connors, but it turns out that she voluntarily gave up her chip to allow John Henry's complete complete mobility. Weaver realizes that John has jumped into the future to continue his mission against Skynet. Without wasting any time, she decides to follow her son into the future, and John joins her with Cameron's body in hopes that he will be able to find her chip and revive her. Ellison and Sarah decide to stay behind in their own timeline, and before leaving, Weaver remembers that she has a daughter to take care of and asks Ellison to pick up Savannah from gymnastics. Parenting 101. The two arrive in the future without Cameron's body. Weaver creates some clothes for herself, and John picks up a jacket. Some resistance fighter dogs detect their presence, and before the fighters can catch them, Weaver escapes, leaving John Connor to face the resistance fighters alone. John is relieved to see his Uncle Derek with the group, who, weirdly, does not know who John Connor is. It seems that the two have changed the timeline by removing John from the past. Hence, he doesn't even exist in the future, all for a robot he fell in love with, ironically, while fighting the robots. It shows us how invaluable John truly is to the storyline, as the resistance still persists without him leading it. To John's surprise, his father, Kyle Reese, also arrives with the human model whose body Cameron had acquired. Both of them don't seem to know John Connor. Just like that, this teenage boy removed the entire premise the first two films were based on, which is disappointing and exciting at the same time. We can only assume what would have happened next, as the show is canceled after only 2 seasons due to low reviews and a tight budget. Alternate forms of T-1001. Due to the remarkable shapeshifting ability of the liquid metal properties, T-1001 morphs into various forms during her mission. In the first scene, she takes on the form of the resistance fighter she just killed and then morphs into an eel-like creature to escape through an air vent. She then takes the body of Catherine Weaver, hiding the fact that the real one died long ago. To kill the bad-mouthing co-worker, she remarkably and quite disgustingly morphs into a urinal, completely camouflaging herself as an object. Later in the series, she morphs into a business executive to purchase several nuclear power plants and help John in the future, as well as for her research on AI. To prevent an important nuclear power plant from closing, she transforms into a beautiful woman to seduce Mr. Nelson. During the makeout session that turns into a nightmare for Nelson, she kills him by morphing her tongue into a weapon, suffocating him. She also turns into a detective to save Ellison from getting arrested. Finally, in her most marvelous form, she morphs into a metallic sheet to save the Connors and Ellison, despite Sarah being rude to her. Marvelous verdict. This video was a way to pay tribute to a forgotten Terminator lost in time. If not for the writer's strike, budget problems, and lack of good reviews, we would have had the privilege to witness more wonderful adventures from Catherine Weaver T-1001. With her vast capabilities, robotic love for her son, and devotion to ending Skynet, we can only imagine how well she would have done in the future. We hope this video helped you journey through the time when Terminator was a prevalent part of science fiction cinema and gave T-1001 the limelight it deserves. Thank you for watching, and if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.